Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to SATAL 2020. I'm your host, Moltar, and we are here today back with Diamond League. I think I screwed up on Saturday when I told everybody we would be Gold League all this week, but we are Diamond League right now. TAW taking on 36th Mozdok against Sochi. I'm going to bring in the other two guys, Billy Wah Merlin and Low Blow. Guys, how are you? How was your weekend? Good, I hope. Lots of virtual flying. How's everything going?
Indeed. I had a pretty good weekend. Things were fairly normal around there. We had a good match on Saturday, and I plugged away, shot some stuff down, blew some things up, but pretty normal other than that. How about you, Low Blow?
Well, man, 5-month-old kids, they got really sharp nails, right? And at night time, when they dig those into the bottom of your eyelid on the inside, it's a good time.
He's just making sure you're awake. He figured out that he has eyes. And he wants to know if you have eyes and if they feel the same on the inside and out. That's the important part. Now, Low Blow, we were just talking about, because I'm waiting on the supercut to finish uploading from Alpha Whiskey. You guys were just talking about a new event that you're talking about launching. I think you're calling it Pilot X Against the World. Do you have a link for that document, just so people can kind of understand?
I haven't. Let me pop it up on Imgur real quick while I'm talking to you about it. But yeah, we are super pumped about this. This is a 1v2 ACM comp, and what it is there's a nomination phase where pilots in the clinic can nominate themselves to be Pilot X for that comp, and then once nominations close, the clinic members vote on the nominees for who is actually going to be Pilot X, and then Pilot X takes on a team of 10 pilots who register from the clinic to be the 2 ship. Now, let me just... Actually, Billy, would you mind popping that on Imgur for me real quick? That'd be awesome, dude.
Sure.
Thanks, dude. And so the 2 ship starts in the middle of a 10-mile diameter circle, and they spawn in with the server pause. They've only got guns, and when the server gets unpaused, they start flying like for 10 seconds, and then Pilot X jumps in his jet, and he can choose to spawn in any one of 4 cardinal points on the outside of that circle facing in. And so the blue guys don't actually know where he's going to spawn. Now, Pilot X is actually carrying 2 Fox 2s. So if he's in a Western jet, he's got 9Ms. If he's in a Russian jet, he's got R-73s. If he's in the Mirage, he's got the Magic. And so, immediately as soon as he spawns in, fight's on. And so, he's either 5 miles in there, 6, or coming in 5 miles. And talking to Guido, they said they did a real life situation like this. I think it's a training scenario called Tap the Cat. So it basically, the guys in the middle, man, they're going to be looking for those Fox 2s, pretty quickly. And then chaos is just going to rapidly unfurl. It's going to be awesome to commentate. I think it's going to be fun for the guys playing. And the other thing is that there's a bit of a plot twist there. So the world pilots can basically nominate any next round is a 1v1 guns only round. And so if they've got a really strong guns only BFM pilot, they can say, okay, the next one is not a 1v2 ACM, it's a 1v1 guns only. And they can do that a maximum of 2 times. Now, to win the comp, it's a first to 5 affair, and they need to be in the clear by 2 points. So if it was 4-5, then they need to go, to 6-4. And round 11, if they make it to round 11, is sudden death. And that's just so it
ends at some point.
Exactly.
So we're not flying all day. Because we did, Billy, I don't know if you were with us. We had a match, I think it was SATAC in 2017, and the 2 Chinese teams were facing off against each other. And this is SATAL rules. They went 8 rounds.
I don't doubt that.
It took 5 hours to do this match.
The dancing, so much dancing.
And for anybody that doesn't know, when we start a lot of stuff here, for the time frames, because at that point they were having to fly on a certain schedule, it was 4 a.m. in China, and these guys were still going. So I was worried about that same thing with Pilot X versus the world. I was like, dude, we got to do sudden death at some point. Otherwise, I don't want this going on forever and, things just not ending. I'm really excited about that, Low Blow. That's going to be a really exciting competition, and I think it's going to throw in a lot of unexpectedness and chaos, I think, into the event scene in DCS, which is something we don't have a lot of yet. And guys, hopefully I fixed my mic. It evidently I accidentally pushed a button on voice meter, and it dragged the IntelliPlan bar all the way to the right, and it made me sound like I was not right. So I'm steadily getting better. You know, as Billy said earlier, it wouldn't be a SATAL stream without Moltar ruining something. So it is what it is. And I'm still waiting on Alpha Whiskey to finish uploading it. I can see it uploading. I just haven't been able to grab the video yet.
And shout out to Navy Doc. Happy 245th birthday to the United States Navy today. Anchors away, and of course, fly Navy for sure.
That's 245 years.
5 years, yeah, right.
Has it really been that long?
Goes by so fast, man. Goes by so fast.
Yeah, that. I've been alive for almost none of it. You know?
just a small fraction.
Just a little piece.
Tiny bit.
Any other news going on? So the other thing that's happening, we're still working on the new website. It's a big project. Billy is going to be working on that with me afterwards, after the stream. I found how I'm going to do ladders. So the ladders are going to be coming here very soon for 1v1s, 2v2s, teams, whatever. There's going to be all different kinds of ladders. They're going to be using ELO weighted averages for ratings. So if you fly against somebody that's better than you, if you're rated lower, you're going to get bigger of a benefit. If you beat them, if they beat you, they're going to get almost no benefit. So you don't have to feel bad about maybe flying against somebody that's better than you, because you're not going to have as much to lose and they're going to have more to lose. So I like that. So that's going to be coming. Billy, you're working on a new civil aviation website for apparel.
Right. Yeah, it's outer marker apparel, so it's going to be marketed towards the 2020 Microsoft 2020 or Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 crowd, if you will. Got some cool designs coming. We're doing wall art. Wall art's actually coming for Wild Weasel apparel as well, coming into the holidays. I got my Tomcat advertisement shirt on today. Let's see how much I can display that here. It's probably one of my favorite shirts, but of course, green screen done messed that all up. So never mind there. But nevertheless, I think we got I got some ideas as far as working on some deals. Maybe get the group here some nice special discount codes for all these new websites and stuff like that. So I think we got some stuff on the horizon as far as that stuff goes. The
I'm
next
loving that name, by the way, Billy. Outer marker apparel. That's sweet.
Yeah, thank you. It was a process trying to come up with what to call it at the end of the day. I sat and just looked through a lot of different books and tried to find something that kind of jumped out to me, and just the
I'm just picturing you looking through books for a name.
Yeah, I don't read books, guys. I flip through them and casually kind of surf.
He sees
pages.
pictures. Oh, that's pretty, and just moves by it.
I mean, anyone who assumes I'm reading shit's definitely got something wrong, because I think we all know that's probably not happening. Nevertheless, I think the next few months are going to be pretty cool. And like I said, I'm going to try to do some unique stuff on here with specifically Wild Weasel, and try to come up with some new, instead of just giving away t-shirts here and there, come up with some fun things to do, some better discounts specifically for the people of SATAL who have really helped kind of propel Wild Weasel to where it is at this point. So I really want to try to do something nice for the guys in chat and get a nice discount, or get something to really kind of give back to the SATAL chat, because they've been I think instrumental in helping.
They're not worth anything. Come on.
Yeah, get out of here. Those guys have supported us and what we do for quite some time now. So anything we can do to kind of help there, I think is
I agree.
Is very cool.
Billy, I'm going to hit you up for a BFM shirt, and it's going to have a picture of Mirage on it. And then underneath it's gonna have no, wait. Because
I like that. I like that.
So Dirto, Billy is Wild Weasel apparel. He runs all of that. Like, I'm Mr. Competitive DCS. Low Blow is Mr. BFM. Billy is Wild Weasel apparel. He does all that stuff. That's him. So I just got the supercut, so we're gonna lead into all of that stuff. When you guys get back, we are gonna be in the pit up. I think we're going to be at Mozdok, riding along with 36 taxiing to the runway, and we will get TAW taken on 36 in this Mozdok against Sochi matchup underway here really soon. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here on the ground, Mozdok, watching 36 Taxi in this TAW taking on 36th matchup. TAW's down at Sochi, and we can take a look at what these guys are going to be flying. I see Airwolf in a J11. Somebody, I can't tell who that is. Maho or Mojo. Majo in an F-15. Witcher in a Mirage. Drigo in a F-16 and Falcon in an F-16. So these are the two F-16s that we see over here. And I'm going to take another look and see who we're missing. I feel like we're missing somebody, because there's only 5 guys here. So somebody has not spawned in yet for the 36th side.
I love the 6v6 matches. I wasn't sure when I remember when Gold got kind of brought in how, like I thought I would kind of be more partial to the 4v4, but after time, as much as I enjoy the intensity of the 4v4, there's something about the 6v6 with that many pilots that is just like the action that kind of comes with it. I think is different.
It's different. It's more chaotic. There's just more going on. And I feel like in Diamond, since there's more aircraft, if you screw up, you're probably going to die.
Right. Way less forgiving than say Gold is. Just
a lot of that though comes down to there just being more aircraft in the vicinity, and you screw up, you're probably going to be next to somebody, and you're going to have a bad time. So
just looking where these guys are spawning, Sochi and Makeup is 75 miles in between these two air
it's
bases.
pretty close.
Yeah, this is very close.
This takes me back to OG Blue Flag days on the Caucasus, where the blue team was constantly trying to take Mozdok from the red side. Right. I flew that route so many times in the A-10 attacking Mozdok, like so many times, just non-stop. This just harkens back tons of memories in that. But looking here, we've got Sineg in an F-15. He's the man coming in at Mach 1.8 in the past rounds. Red Core 6, Newbie 2. Who else is back there? Newbie 2. I think that's Savior. No, that's Striker. And who's back here? Who is this? And Frosty, and then Savior's down there. So we've got 115 and 5 18s for TAW. And then we've got a Mirage, 2 16s, a 15, a J11 for 36. And I don't know if they're going to have 6 pilots. I still only see 5. We'll see if somebody spawns in.
What do you guys think with TAW going heavy on the Hornets here? Do you think they're making that decision because of the short distance between these two air bases?
My guess it's the shared information on the data link, but I guess the 16 and the 18 are going to supplement each other there too. So I'm not sure if it was more comfortable in the 18. I don't know, maybe more missiles,
fuel, and I think it's the situational awareness that the 18 can provide. Its radar is better, even though sometimes marginally than the 16. It is better.
Think they both have their, with the fact that unless you create a little cheat bind for the auto, bias, and manual sweep, like you're constantly reaching forward, and if you don't have MFDs, like that's a pain in the ass right there to have to switch. Because a lot of times if you don't switch to auto, when you go to crank or notch or do something, you're just going to break lock and you're not going to support that missile. So you really got to be Johnny on the spot about where that sweep is going and what it's doing. And it took me a little bit, even for somebody who has a lot of hours in the Hornet, to really wrap my brain around that whole aspect of things. And I don't know how many people out there really have, because I see people complain about it a lot, but I just don't think they understand, how that interaction kind of works and takes place. But I think once you do, and I've set myself up a little bind for it to make it easy on the HOTAS. But yeah, if you got to be constantly reaching up and just managing that aspect of things, it does change things a little bit. But I do think the radar is it's obviously stronger than the F-16s. I think in some ways.
Well, the other advantage that it has is it's off angle. It has a larger azimuth than the X-16, the F-16 does. So you're able to maintain lock closer to the notch. And its ACM modes, I would say, are arguably better.
Absolutely.
The Viper did get some love in the ACM department, but the F-18s especially with that instant lock. Hemek sight is just way better than what the F-16 has.
I struggle far more often in the 16 to get the bore sight on the helmet mount to radar lock. In the 18 now, it is almost perfect. Where you're just
the
like,
18 is borderline horizon scan. You just move it around, and if somebody's there, it's going to lock them up.
Especially what most people don't know is that if you hold the bore sight, so I think it's sensor select. I don't remember off the top of my head, but the sensor select direction that actuates the bore sight. If you hold that, you're going to go from a 5 or a 10 mile scan to a 40 mile scan.
Yeah.
And that is when you know that something is out there and you just flip that thing on and start looking around, you find it real.
Oh, you're going to see all the things.
Well, wait till we get the data link in there. Then it'll be real easy. You'll be like, oh, there he is. Dab. Like, good night.
I'm kind of worried about
that
with SATAL. I don't know what's going to happen. That's like playing with labels.
It kind of is.
The single eagle choice by TAW is interesting to me. You know, that they didn't go with 2 eagles so they can back each other up mutually.
Billy, were you here when we saw Sineg come in at Mach 1.8, 1.9?
Right. This is normally I mean, I shouldn't say normally, but this is definitely a TAW strategy over time. Is to take this one off airframe that is not aired up. And that airframe is going to run an absolute muck. And it's usually things that can go very high and very fast, i.e. the Mirage or the 15. And it looks like they have basically transitioned from using the Mirage for this to the F-15 for this. And I think understandably speaking, when you consider the amount of the Fox 3 capability with the AMRAAMs, the improvement to the AMRAAMs over this period of time since they transitioned, and the sheer speed that thing, what was it, 1.8? 1.8, something stupid. I mean, the thing was basically time traveling. It was moving so damn fast. You know, like they're shooting those missiles at such velocity that it's really going to be difficult for somebody to get away from. And I think just based on what we're seeing right here, that's going to be the strategy today. So look for that F-15 to get high and fast and get behind the group that they're about.
Do you think it's going to be able to do that?
It did last time. I mean, he snuck in right around him. I don't even know if they saw him.
Well,
so I get the cat amongst the pigeon. I get the cat amongst the pigeon mindset there. But do you not think that bringing 2 eagles, you know, so those guys can sort and maybe back each other up would be a good choice?
I don't disagree with that. There's probably reason for them to not do that. I don't know what that reason would be. I would assume so. They've definitely gamed this strategy out. I think we would all probably agree. So why they don't do that is a very good question. You'd think 2 people doing this is pretty effective with 4 guys working as a group together to combat, you know, what's the results of what those 2 are kind of driving all over the place. But yeah, I don't know. They've never really done that. It's always been 1 guy sent off to go do this. And maybe because if it doesn't work, they're only down 1 fighter at that point or something.
Well, last time they did this, and I don't remember, maybe one of you guys can check since I'm in the cameras, who they were flying against last time. When they did this last time, it did not work. Sineg got annihilated by whoever they were flying against.
I think they lost the match, but I think there was 1 round, like the first.
No, they
round.
won the match. TAW did, but they lost. One did not go very well. So
that's right. Okay, yeah.
Sineg ended up getting bamboozled, coming around a flank. He got taken down. I think it was against a JF-17, and he got hit by a couple rounds by a Mach 3 ST-10. And it posed a problem there. But I like the idea of a singleton F-15 because I think the things that the Hornet brings to bear with situational awareness, especially if they don't have data link, which I don't, do they?
Is there an AWACS? Let me check the tag.
No, there is no AWACS. So especially because there's no AWACS, the F-18 has a significant advantage with PPLI.
Yeah, okay, no AWACS. Big factor in A. I think this is one of the first matches, at least I've seen this year, where the AWACS not present. And we got some terrain here, folks. This is not flat area like we saw on Saturday, where we had kind of that lower basin coastal area.
Yeah, let's take a look at that. So here's the terrain. We've got Mozdok against Sochi, and we've got these high peak mountains right under Bullseye. So the white caps here, obviously there's a lot of white caps down here, but this is significant terrain. I mean, I'm anticipating the fight taking place just east of Bullseye in the higher mountains, and I think it's gonna divulge into a mountain fight. How quickly, I don't know, but I think that's the direction that this is going to go. I also anticipate, with actually what we've been seeing lately out of SATAL's Diamond League, which is not what we saw last year, is that these matches are going to be very, very aggressive and are going to go very, very fast. So, Billy and Low Blow, I'm more directing this at Billy because I don't know how much experience you had with last year or watching any of this, but last year it was Gold League that was hugely aggressive and Diamond League that was very standoffish and patient.
Well, I think some of that has to do with the influx of full fidelity modules, right? We're seeing a lot different airframes in the days since those type of fights, right? So I think when you bring in a new breed of pilots, right? Still Diamond League teams, but I think we still have a lot of newer guys kind of working their way up through the ranks. We definitely have some familiar faces, but there are some new faces, and I think as that stuff kind of begins to coagulate, if you will, amongst these teams, you see a different play style develop. I think teams feel like they can do more with the situational awareness that's kind of provided. You take away that situational awareness, and you can kind of see why the matches developed and went the way they did. But as you add more information, I think the willingness to be aggressive increases because there is some safety involved in knowing what's going on when you're doing that. So,
now,
right.
Low
What I
Blow.
would expect there, Moltar, is train how you fight like you train. So I think if the teams have been fighting without AWACS and been building up that SA through their PPLI, then I would expect they'd be fairly comfortable in this sort of environment. But if they are playing a lot and relying on the AWACS, and when things start getting a bit hectic here, what I would expect to see is maybe some breakdown in communication, some loss of SA, and we saw in the last fight, it doesn't take much of a breakdown in communication to have a very decisive outcome in some of these matches. Now, I'd be interested to see how that's going to play out in the 6v6 here against what we've seen in the 4v4s. But correct me if I'm wrong. You guys have tended to say in the past that the 4v4 matches are a bit more aggressive. Is that correct?
They were in the past. They haven't been this year. A lot of the 4v4 matches they've taken a long time. And somebody said more aggressiveness usually means less patience. It depends on the team. Aggressiveness, you can have patience with aggressiveness. Like Low Blow said, it's all about the game plan and what you're trying to achieve going into something. If you're trying to be aggressive and that is your game plan and you're executing it in a very specific way and you have the patience to not overstep those bounds and to get into positions where you don't want to be in, you've got the patience to maintain mutual support, so on and so forth, then it still takes a huge amount of patience to be able to make those things possible. So I don't necessarily agree with it. I will say that there are definitely times when that is showcased in SATAL where we see teams just fly headlong into certain situations with the complete disregard for patience. I will say that, though.
Yeah, I mean, we're already at 35 miles between these two teams, so things are going to start heating up here fairly shortly. This would be a standard sort of a commit range to AWACS if you were flying a sweep or some of these BBR timelines that we tend to see. So, I'm expecting things to start heating up here fairly shortly.
Now we see Sineg just leaving. He's way behind this group. So this might be part of the ruse here. I think maybe they're hoping that they don't necessarily pick him up right away because he is not part of that initial pack. Like, he's literally just getting off the ground.
Look at all the missiles being launched by 36.
Yeah, storm coming, dude.
Right, and something I do have to point out is 36 looks like they only have 5 pilots.
And there's not a lot of distance here, folks. I mean, these guys are up and basically right into it. The fuel, I don't think, will necessarily be a big factor today.
Right.
Missile count, however, as always, the man with the missile at the end of the match is going to be in the right spot because it doesn't seem like many people end up.
What is Sineg doing?
I'm not sure. I don't think the distances were long enough here to really yield the results they might have been looking for on this. I don't know. I'm curious. This is an interesting.
I think he's trying to get space to get the speed up.
just coming back to what Billy was saying there about you know, how important having AMRAMs at the end of the match is. You know, we've just seen a 2-to-1, more than a 2-to-1 ratio in a missile exchange there. So from what I can see, only 2 slammers coming out of TAW, so they are still carrying quite a few more missiles. Yeah, I think we saw 5 come from 36 just
right. That's a valid point. That's a large difference in who shot what there, and that is going to pay dividends come towards the end of this match. Because look, I mean, TAW expected this clearly and was on top of their game enough to get away from all of those missiles, and it doesn't even look like a few of them were supported enough to really even do anything. I'm not quite sure what's up with a few of those there, but nevertheless, I mean, those are missiles that are going to run back at the end of this thing.
Looks like Newbie 2 sorting on Majo there with a 20-mile Fox 3 shot. TAW Striker also unleashing. But you know what strikes me about this TAW team here is just how close they're sticking together. You know,
right.
That's a fairly tightly packed formation there, and lots of mutual support going on. Looking at 36, those guys are spread out a little bit further, and whether they are going to use that to their advantage and maybe bracket around TAW and then close in like a net will be interesting to see. But right now, the way TAW are flying, you know, I wouldn't want to be pushing into that. Lots of just
right.
going on.
One thing I'm seeing out of TAW too that's very impressive is simultaneous or synchronized AMRAM shots. There's twice now those missiles have left the rail within fractions of a second of one another. That means 2 guys on the other end are going defensive at the same time. Their comms are coming, it's jumbling stuff up even more. I think that's something we've not really pointed out too often before, but I think is a valuable tactic in synchronizing those shots. So those volleys come in within a second, if not almost fractions of a second of another on that group. So that I think is a smart tactic on TAW's part.
Now take a look actually at TAW. You know, we saw the Lemon Train last week, but have a look at this. You know, we had 4 jets out cold in a line from TAW with about 4 mile separation between each jet. And the way that these guys are recommitting right now, it's fascinating. You've had, you know, 1 guy go left, 1 guy go right, or 3 guys go right there and 1 guy go left. So, you know, to me, it looks like there's some organization going here in the way that they're going cold and the way they're recommitting. So
I got to go back. You know, I got to go back and point out, where is Sine going?
Yeah, I don't know. This is strange, dude. This is strange.
Maybe they elected to go 5v5 since 36 was missing a pilot?
I mean, noble and should be noted.
Take a look at Falcon at the moment out there by himself.
That's a pretty cool thing to do.
He's in a good flanking position. I got to give him credit for that.
I mean, yeah, he's definitely there to cover. He's not close to cover, but yeah, it's a bizarre move. But yeah, it might be just to balance things out. I'm not sure. We usually have some tall guys in chat. Maybe we can get a little insight on that one.
So here comes Falcon coming in on the right side of Savior in his F-18. We can see Savior right in front of us 6 miles. Is Falcon going to be able to run him down? Savior, meanwhile, ingressing on Airwolf. I'm really worried about Airwolf's position. Let's grab the missile being launched by Savior. Here it is. Airwolf is in world of trouble, not defending, not notching. Half mile, he's going to take this one. Missile has way too much smash, and Airwolf is the first casualty getting ejected from this round here in round 1 between 36 and TAW. And Falcon, I think, was just too late to be able to save his comrade there.
I think Saviour's in a bit of trouble here, I have to be honest. You know, with Falcon coming in on the 6th there at 5 miles, Savior Fox 3ing there looks like on Majo, but he looks like he's going to turn cold straight into a Fox 3 here from Falcon.
Ooh, that was a bad time to recommit. He recommitted basically as that thing launched, and then TAW now.
Savior's out. Ooh, Savior's been hit.
That's a tough spot.
So while Falcon wasn't able to avenge his comrade, he was able to equalize it. But now Draco is in a bit of trouble as he has multiple missiles coming in on him, and I don't know that he's going to be able to get away from these. Did he line of sight him? I can see him detonating all around. There goes another one. Flies right behind his aircraft. It's going to impact into the side of that hill. So just stuff is starting to unfold now, happening very, very fast. Striker's now merging with Falcon. We can see that on the right. So there's Falcon right along with Striker's aircraft, trying to make sure we're not missing anything, because these guys are virtually on top of one another right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and there's Striker facing off against that Mirage 2000 with Witcher, and he's got Falcon behind him, you know, so Striker's position here may be a bit tenuous. I'm not sure how how this is going to work out for him.
I think Falcon's going to be able to get away from this missile. So if we jump over and take a look at Falcon, there's the missile about half a mile behind him. He's got more than enough energy, over 600 knots. Did a decent job of defending early. He was already cold when that missile was launched, so I don't anticipate that being a problem. It looks like he's headed back to regroup with his comrades. But now we've got 3 cold for 36 and a singleton hot coming in here for 36, and it's Drigo all by himself. He is leading the way. Was that a mistake? Red Core 6 launched from 15,000 feet. Drigo's trying to defend it. It's half-mile away. Still has great amounts of speed, and it smashes into his aircraft, and Drigo is the next casualty here for 36th. So things have gone from bad to worse for 36 here.
10 mile box 3 there from Frosty. Looks like it's heading for
decent shot.
Ajo.
Decent shot. Let's ride along with it. Yeah, that got line of sight. That's going into the ground. They got close.
So are we 4v3 right now with Sineg still out off the coast?
We are 4v3, and Sineg is at 850 knots.
Yeah, this makes no sense to me.
He's coming in. He was getting some speed up. That one was getting speed and altitude there is what he was doing. And he's coming in and he's about to twizz on these 3 red players with some pretty fast AMRAMs. I'm just going to take a guess. I have not watched any of this. I have no clue.
Is that a fetish, Billy? Gonna twizz on some people? Do we need to know about something?
Twizz all over these 3 guys.
Now Majo or Moho and Frosty coming. How do I say that, guys? Robski or anybody in chat from 36, please tell me how to say that. I ask about the same names all the time. I just screw them up constantly. So he's still got a center line on. No AMRAMs left. 2 AIM-9s remaining. Let's go to split screen so we can see what's going on. He was able to line of sight that missile as he continued to ingress. Now we've got Striker and Red Core 6 ingressing against Witcher and Falcon. So let's bounce over and focus on that engagement. Striker looks to be in pretty good position here, coming in on the side of both of these 36th aggressors. 120 coming off from the bottom of Striker's aircraft. That is going at, looks like it's coming at Witcher. Witcher is not really committing to any type of defensive strategy. Looks like he was able to line of sight that missile.
Yeah, we are starting to approach it, BFM prospects here.
Look at where Maho
You
is.
certainly are. Where's Sineg?
He's ingressing on Maho.
Yeah, he's coming.
Look at Witcher. Look at Witcher about to get into the merge with Striker here. 2 miles.
There's an AMRAM coming in on Witcher. Witcher's dead. He's not going to make it to the merge. Boom! And he gets taken out. That was an ill-advised recommit there. But now we've got, see if I can grab it, Falcon coming against Striker, and Striker's going to recommit head-on into this missile. Here comes the 120. He gets 2 120s off against Falcon, and that ends up being a trade. So 4 pilots remaining for TAW, if we include Sineg. Though I don't know what's going on here.
Lining up Majo. I wonder if he's got SA on him. Majo turning cold into Sineg at the moment. Up there at Mark 1.5. That Eagle finally starting to get into this fight.
Eagle against Eagle. High against low.
I mean, if he drops down, I think it's going to be a fight.
He's not going to know where he is. There's so much altitude.
He missed him. Yeah, he missed him. This could be.
There's so much altitude separation. Without AWACS, you're not going to see each other.
Yeah, that's true. He missed him, and I don't know if these guys necessarily know where he is yet right now, because he's definitely ducking and weaving into those valleys.
46,000 feet versus 6,000 feet. Right?
A tale of 2 eagles, right?
I anticipate this ending poorly for 36.
Frosty coming through with a shot that he just turned into. Yeah, that's not gonna. Unless he's
Look at all the missiles. Look at them all.
Jesus. There we go.
And Moho just gets hammered
Yep.
on that recommit into 3 TAW competitors, and Sineg's just up there for the glory, ladies and gentlemen, blowing through 36,000 feet. He's just like, I still have all my missiles and fuel, guys. I don't know what was so hard about that. What's up?
Convincing win there.
Yeah, that was pretty convincing. Four pilots remaining for TAW. I do have to point out, though, that 36th came into that a man down.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah.
that's tough, and we talk about that all the time. Starting or getting that early disadvantage as far as numbers can be very detrimental. That's you're fighting an uphill battle from the start, and that's never easy.
So let's jump and take a look at the TAC view. I want to know, why was Sineg out of that fight for so long?
I think it seemed like he was there in case he needed to be there, and he pushed in there at the end. And by the time he got there, they had already handled most of the work from what it looks like, and he was in position to rain down really fast AMRAMs in the latter minutes of that match. From what it looks like, that was the strategy. They put him up. They knew they had the advantage from the start because of the being the man down on the other side. So, you put him up there, you put him in position to be a factor at the end. And he moved in. I mean, he was in position, I think, he missed that guy down low. Certainly didn't help things much. But I think had there been more guys alive there, we would have seen him be a much bigger factor by the time he got to the center of the fight there.
Right.
And coming into this fight, we mentioned how pivotal PPLI might have been, and I think TAW just coming in, looking at the TAC view, it definitely looks like there was some more mutual support going on there, and I wouldn't be surprised if Data Link was playing a part in that.
Oh, Data Link definitely played a part, especially with the complete lack of AWACS.
Absolutely. And they were running more. They had more aircraft. You had the J11, which has data link, but it's different. The Mirage and the F-15 and an F-15 on 36, none of which had PPLI or data link necessarily. So that I think might have been detrimental there. Airframe choice certainly a big factor here.
I think the story
can we talk about Sineg for a second? I mean, interesting tactic there to head out over the water and get the speed up. I understand that, but do we think that he actually influenced the fight at all?
No,
I don't think so. But I think there was a level of confidence here in the thinking of TAW, thinking we don't need him to be a factor unless we need him to be. Right. Yeah. Like specifically, had there not been a man down, had it been 6v6, I don't think we would have seen TAW do what they did here. I think they knew, they had the advantage into, just like saying, going off confidence. They probably felt pretty good going into this thing. Sending him out there, certainly a risky move, but it could have been a very, could have paid off pretty heavily had there been 3-4 guys left for 36 as he pushed into that center there. So,
yeah.
I just think it worked out that he wasn't needed, at the end of the day. Right.
And right. I think also coming back to what you said in a couple of past rounds in SATAL there, Moltar, that once we do get into the BFM arena, well, particularly the ACM, because, there's multiple jets involved here, the individual advantages of these jets really begins to diminish. And it's not so much about the fact whether you're in an F-16 or a Mirage or a Hornet, it's more about, who's around you and what's going on in that chaos. Right. And, like that, in that sense, I think having a full complement of Hornets, in that situation, really would have helped these guys out with all those HMDs, the data link, and the good coordination. These guys were going to always make a better situation of the ACM once we got the,
because they only have, looking at the aircraft that we're flying, they only have 2 aircraft together that are participating in PPLI with one another, and that's the 2 F-16s flown by Drigo and Falcon. So let's jump and take a look at the TAC view, which I've had up for a little bit. This entire round epitomized what the lack of AWACS will do. I mean, you can see Falcon's just down here. Nobody knows where he is. Savior gets into the mix. Savior's able to take down Airwolf with a 120. That was launched from roughly 5 miles. Airwolf, unless he notches that, is going to die. He's not really going to be able to outrun that. He could line of sight it, but, commit to the notch. Trust the notch. And he just tries to outrun it. Wrong move. Ends up getting taken down. But Falcon finds himself right on the 6 of Savior. And due to the lack of AWACS, you have Newbie 2 and Striker, who are decently close in a great position to intercept Falcon, just not know he's there until it's too late and Savior is taken down by Falcon. I think even after Falcon takes him down, they still don't know where he is. And this is a great showcase of the why, when you don't have AWACS, you always want to have somebody high and further back contributing to the situational awareness, contributing to the picture that you guys can, everybody else can benefit from. If everybody's low, which it looks like most people were under 15,000 feet, you're not going to be able to see things like Falcon in your midst. So I got hats off to Falcon for making that work. It's a shame that he didn't get there a little bit earlier to be able to save his buddy and take Savior out first. But you know, he got the kill immediately following.
I just have to say, you know, it's surprising to me seeing these 2 mile Fox 3 shots, like when Striker takes out Witcher with an AMRAM from 2 miles. You know, they're using these Fox 3s like they're Fox 2s. That is just
no, that's with the 16. I've seen a lot of guys, even in my squadron, Athena. That's.
I don't
general.
take them.
That's,
I don't take.
I mean, I try to take one because I like having the IR as a sensor. Right, like I like being able to look around down low at that IR, especially in the 16. And just see what especially in those moments where I feel like I can't find something, like I'm just automatically switching down to that IR sensor and trying to look around. Sometimes that can be difficult, especially if you only have one. You're kind of limited in that capacity. But nevertheless, the speed of those AMRAMs at close ranges, I mean, you're not hurting yourself. You know,
I take an AIM-9 now because it seems like mad dogging 120s is kind of broken.
Yeah, a little bit. Things are weird again right now.
It does some really weird stuff, and it doesn't even track. So I do take one now, but when that gets fixed, hopefully, when it gets fixed, if it does get fixed, I won't take AIM-9s. There's no reason to. After the buff that happened over the summer with the 120s, they turn so well now, which I think they should. They don't turn obviously as well as an AIM-9, but they turn so well now that
they do.
Losing that bit of mobility for the ability for them not to be flared is hugely beneficial.
Right. Now, that's something I'd like to talk about, Malta. You know, when you've flown your 64 matches, has there been a time when you've been in the merge and you've had to hold off on a Fox 2 or a Fox 3 shot for fear of taking out your buddy?
Sure, but you have to make sure that the communication's there, that if somebody's going to put themselves in that situation, you just tell them to break off and get the hell out of Dodge, or have the communication there so they don't put themselves in that situation in the first place. So if you're flying with a group, you don't want to commit into a merge like that if you've got wingmen around. Just blow through it, because the guy's going to think you're defending him. You're now allowing your wingmen to put missiles into that engagement without fear of hitting you. It just comes down to experience and communication, and to realize that if you got friendlies in the area, don't put yourself in a situation where fratricide can take place. Allow your teammates the advantages of being able to engage from a bit further away without fear of taking you out with them. Has there ever been a double kill with a single missile in SATAL? Yes, there has. There was one last year where a guy got hit with a missile, and then the plane, they were flying in formation, and the plane behind him ran into him.
Let's talk about IFF in the merge here. Once we get into that BFM/ACM situation, you know, common tactic would be to call for your guy to pop flares so you can visually ID him. But what would you be expecting these teams to be doing in the way of IFF once we're within the 5 miles there?
Well,
I know we didn't really see it in this situation because TAW were all coming in a line, so it was, you know, they had pretty good SA on where they were. But you know, there are times when that's not going to be the case. So you know, identifying who's who in the zoo kind of thing becomes a real issue.
Right. That goes back to the blow through and the communication, and to really not overcommit into these situations, to make sure you're always aware of where your teammates are, to not allow those situations to develop. Because if you're allowing those things to happen, I think it's just highlighting disorganization and chaos that already existed beforehand. So
yeah, keeping guys behind the line, I think, is very important there, right? Like making sure everyone's just reaching out and punching over the line and not really getting too far past it. I think helps a lot with that. If there's AWACS, I think having the ability to get that secondary input from the AWACS as far as IFF goes really speeds up that process. But like in a match like this where there is no AWACS, yeah, that's going to be challenging in certain situations, especially when in the latter phases of the match where people have been shot down. It's your brain is not necessarily remembering exactly who's where and who's still around, in certain situations, I guess. But I think really, like you're saying, pop the flares, communicate, and try to be able to have that SA. I think that really is, one of the things that separates the good from the good from the ugly within SATAL, right? Is having those skills and those capabilities.
IFF too.
They seen the 6. Sorry, go ahead, Malta.
IFF too isn't really going to matter if you're in a merge, because even if you can tell who somebody is, you're still not going to shoot in there because especially with the full fly aircraft and with actives and stuff and even IR missiles, the radar can jump from one target to the other. So even if you're tracking the correct one and you know who that person is, you still shouldn't shoot in there since we've lost the kind of exploitive magic INS. You should not do that. And going back to PPLI and stuff, I mean, your ability to have a generalized idea through data link or PPLI where your friendlies are is hugely beneficial. And then being able to show the lock lines and stuff through PPLI is also hugely beneficial because if one of your guys has been able to ID a threat and then they can lock them up, well, now you know as long as you're in the same group who they're looking at, and then you know who to identify and who to slave your radar to.
Well, I think the word of the day from the TAW perspective coming into this 6v6 had to be discipline. You know, once they were within about, you know, that 10-mile range here, you know, definitely within 8 miles, having that, you know, forward line of operating troops, basically that flot, the way they confronted these guys in a straight line. I'm looking at 430-54 here in the TAC view. You know, there was definite discipline there in terms of, like you say, not overcommitting, not extending ahead of each other, not becoming, you know, in the mix so much that, you know, you have that risk of the blue on blue. So that was pretty impressive to see.
Especially with Fox 3 going active, right? Like, you just don't want somebody who could be getting, you know, you could do everything right, but if somebody on your team goes and runs ahead and gets in between your pit-bulled Fox 3 and the bandit you're shooting at, you know, that's a problem, right? At the end of the day, we've all seen that. And I think we've seen guys take, you know, aim 7s and single track missiles or single target track missiles to try to aid with that. Because if somebody's in a fur ball and has a bandit on their tail and you want to shoot at the enemy and know that, you know, you have a greater chance of not hitting that friendly, you know, that's a way of kind of ensuring that. But yeah, when it comes to the IFF, it can be challenging, but I think as we see more of these full fly data linked aircraft, that stuff becomes less of a thing than, say, it used to be with some of the other aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
Right. There's something I'd like to point out here, Moltar, 043137. We had Sineg coming in from the south, and we had Majo, who had basically worked his way into a fully flanked position on the entire TAW team, apart from Sineg. And, you know, if he had AWACS, there may have been a possibility he would have had SA on that situation and been able to capitalize and absolutely wreak havoc. But the fact that maybe he didn't have AWACS and no data link either meant that he kind of just tooled around there and missed that opportunity, I think. You know, he was behind the entire TAW team there. Man, that's insane.
There's not much you can do in that situation, and it's one of the downfalls of being alone and being low in this is you don't know where anybody is. They don't know where you are, but you also don't know where anyone is. So with the F-15, you don't have data link in DCS, so I think he was just trying to make do. I don't think he was actively trying to find Sineg. I think he was just trying to stay hidden and make the best out of a poor situation. That's really what I see in this time frame on what's going on. Now, they do fly directly over one another. That just comes down to not knowing where each other is. I think Sineg was actually above marks, and this happens quite frequently, especially when there's no data link. You'll see guys fly right next to one another. And even if Sineg did have a generalized idea of where Maho was, without data link on his own jet, he's going to be really difficult to find. He could swing. I guess the F-15 does have really good vertical scan, so he could just swing through and see if he could find them. But in that situation, when you have this many friendlies alive, it's better just to blow through, allow somebody that's already identified him to continue to press, tell you when the guy's cold, and then recommit.
Frankly, if Mayo tried to jump up and grab Sineg, one of those 3 Hornets behind him would have immediately found him. So, I mean, just bringing him over top, trying to draw somebody out, may have had an effect as well there. When you get those guys kind of running through the mountains, Mayo may have mistakenly thought he had a chance at a bandit that didn't see him, when really all he was doing was showing his location to everyone else. You know, Sineg has the speed to get away from just about anything at that point if he has enough time to get away from it, which Mayo trying to pull up through that altitude there he's instantly going to be showing himself to those other 3 Hornets.
So Robski just pointed out the F-16 now auto locks in ACM with bore sight.
Which
Like
I
the
still
Hornet.
had problems where I know I'm looking at something that's there and it's not wanting to do what I want it to do. But I
Yeah,
do.
that
There
may
has
be.
been times where it's like, okay, this
I
does seem to be working
I
better.
think that
but
may
I
be a
don't know.
limitation of the F-16's radar because the F-16's radar, from what I understand, is always in medium PRF. There's no different PRF
So
modes.
interleaving. Yeah.
There's no like the Hornet has where you have high, medium.
then
You
it
don't have
switches.
that in the F-16, so I'm betting that plays a big part of it.
It is much better. Yeah.
But I think it does help the auto lock. I haven't flown in a while because I've been redoing the website. I've had a bunch of stuff to do, so I haven't been able to jump in the pit. And I've always just assumed that ACM sucks complete butt, so I haven't messed with it.
It's definitely better than it was. There's no doubt. Somebody sat down and took a look and made some adjustments. That is undisputable.
Good to know.
I don't.
So,
I think the Viper boys will tell you there's still some time to go there though.
We've spoken about psychology in the past few
Mm-hmm.
streams. Coming into the second match, TAW there with a convincing win in the first round. Strong team like TAW. What would you expect their mentality to be going into this second round here?
I think it's
Well-
going to be really similar as round one. I think it's actually going to be worse for their opposition because now they have the confidence. 36 now is fighting an uphill battle. We saw them with 5 pilots. They're probably going to have 5 again going into round 2. And I think this is even worse than if you were fighting somebody else. I mean, you go into a match knowing TAW is good. TAW going in was undefeated. Now they're up 1. I think that it's just the gap becomes even wider at this point. The mountain is now even more unsurmountable. So
Yeah.
36 is even more in even more of a tough place than they were before going into round 2. In my
Do we
opinion.
know if they get a pilot back for this next match, or is it a 6v5 again?
I am not sure.
Curious there, because I think if they get a pilot back, that could change things. I think coming into this even could certainly help. Well, absolutely would help their chances, but I think it might breathe some new life if they can get a pilot back, because we've seen that sometimes guys are late and they just don't make it for that first round. So maybe that happens and we see something different here. But yeah, if it's another 6v5 again and they send Sinig out there with all that speed and coming in there towards the end, I mean, I don't know if they were even aware in between rounds that he was there doing that. Like what level of knowledge they have on that whole situation, I have no clue. So whether they can factor it into their game plan is a good question. So I don't know. I'd be curious to see whether he plays a part and tries to do that again.
But I have to say, I think TAW have I think they just nailed the lineup with the Hornets, for this this format. That having that
Agreed.
PPLI, the HMDs, this short distance, 75 miles between Makop and Sochi. That they are anticipating getting into the merge, and once they get into that merge, they are well equipped to dominate that fight. And from that last fight, the discipline that they had in the way that they brought that line forward, and not overcommitting, I think is that's pretty scary stuff, man. These guys are organized, so interested to see what's going to happen in this next one.
Right.
And
Sorry,
go ahead.
Billy, go
No,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was
No,
just
no,
gonna
go ahead.
I was gonna wrap it up and move on.
I was just going to point out a comment from Brownbaugh 66 on the 3 format. We were discussing earlier how much I think we've enjoyed having the extra person here with low blow. So yeah, I think great addition here, and I think the chat's definitely been enjoying that as well.
Yeah.
So cool to see the comments there, guys.
Yep. All right, guys. So we're gonna
Thanks,
move
Bill.
on to round 2. I'm gonna send you guys back to the supercut. I'm gonna get things fast forwarded, and we will be ready to go with TAW taking on 36. Round 2. TAW is currently up 1-0. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back in the sim. TAW taking on 36 in round 2. These guys look to be already taking off. Here they go. Are we going to see a difference from 36 coming in here? Are they going to have 6 pilots? Are they still going to have 5? I'm anticipating, since they only had 5 here in round 1, that we're going to see 5 here again in round 2. But with those 5, and with what we saw Sineg do in round 1, are they going to be able to take it to TAW in an equal playing field if Sineg does the same thing? Which it doesn't look like he's doing, because he's taken off with them.
I know Savior is French. Is TAW a French squadron? Are
No.
all these guys speaking French?
They're
here?
international.
Yeah, they are definitely international. I believe they have a pretty diverse group from all over, if my memory serves me correctly. So they've been around for a while. They're pretty active within the community. You see those guys all over the place, which is pretty cool. Definitely, those bigger groups, I think, attract new people to DCS and all that type of stuff. So definitely TAW one of the more interesting groups out there.
Something I do need to point out is Sineg is breaking off. Where he's going, I don't know, but he is breaking off.
Yeah, I think that shows a level of confidence for TAW here, and I think it shows, that they're worried about the end of the match, because it clearly to me looks like they're positioning him to come in at the end and be a big factor. I mean, just think about it: a plane coming in with basically a good majority of its fuel, all of its missiles at a very fast rate in the latter stages of the match. Just think about it. I mean, that's such a huge factor coming in when you need that burst of help at the end. It puts a lot more onus on the other 5 guys in the battle to really pick it up and try to compensate for the fact that they have one guy who's not in the fight right now. And I think TAW definitely up for the challenge there. They can luck out today with 36 only putting 5 planes up, which really kind of alleviates a little bit of that pressure. I think we saw the results of that in the first round there. I'm curious if we end up seeing Sineg be a factor here, and the distance too, as we were talking about in between. The distance here is pretty short, and I think it really needs Sineg needs to get up to altitude and get to speed a lot faster than maybe he did in that first round if he wants to show up to the fight to be a factor with how fast we saw things transpire in that first round.
Right. Well, we're within 42 miles now, so you'd expect these teams to be melding and sorting here, and starting to get organised. But I don't know. This is we've both got both teams fairly closely packed in here. So TWS, man, if all of these guys are TWSing on all the other guys, this is just going to be pure chaos.
Yeah, but TWS, now that Magic INS is fixed, doesn't always work, because if you unsupport the missiles before it gets there all the way, and the missile's not going to know which target it needs to track, right? It's going to just lock on to whatever it can that's right in front of it. And a lot of times what ends up happening is you dual launch on 2 kind of close contacts, and the missile will hit, both of them will hit the same guy.
Right.
No.
So, and look, we see here, it looked like at least 2 of those shots were synchronized from TAW. 1 shot first, 2 synchronized in the
From
second
36.
volley. Oh, from 36 there. I'm sorry, I got turned around. And yeah, it looked like TAW.
One's an R-77.
Interesting. So big volley, 4 shots to 2 again. Where is old Sineg? He's still relatively close. No, he's not. He's so far out I didn't even see him.
Yeah, separation between the 2 teams is down to 20 miles.
Yeah.
Nothing's really going on yet. Still 5 pilots for 36. I'm anticipating, again, coming into this round, that as things kick off, things are going to happen very quickly like they did in round 1. So I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, if I missed something, but both of these teams have been hugely aggressive as they've gotten closer and closer to one another. They've shown a tendency to not want to regroup with one another. They just want to go balls to the wall, commit, and see what ends up coming out of it. I mean, they want to jump into the fight, beat the crap out of one another, and hope for the best. I'm not saying there's no disorganization or anything. It's just there is a lot of aggression going on from both of these teams.
Sineg now 65 miles to the north, I believe, from this fight. He is way out of range, but
What
still
is he
only
doing?
coming up. He's still only coming up through Angels 3-0 right now. And yeah, exactly. Okay, he hits Angels 3-0. He's making the turn to come back in. He's just over Mach 1.067-ish. And I think as we see him pick up speed and altitude, he's going to be back in this fight quicker than he.
Yeah,
quite
but
a lot quicker
it
than
may
he's
be
gonna get out
over
there.
like it was
It
last
might,
time
it
before
might,
he
it
gets
might.
here.
Yeah, that is the like I said, this strategy I think would be a lot better on a battlefield that was a little bit more spread out. This is the amount of time it takes him to get up there and get speed. I think he may have just been better served being in the fight. I'm not sure here, but
Well, right now
nevertheless.
you've got Tor, Savior, and Striker lining up on Airwolf here as a two-ship with 5 miles lateral separation. Airwolf coming in without much support from anyone. Drigo and Mayho are lagging behind him there by about 8 miles, and they're a good distance from Savior. So
Indeed. A lot of missiles out there right now. Probably 7 to 8 missiles still floating around the air.
That's something we don't typically see out of Diamond League is the so many missiles being launched without a care in the world. We usually see a little bit more missile conservation, but with these air bases being so close to one another, I think you guys said 75 miles, there's only an ingress of 30 miles or so to the bullseye. So I guess teams feel like there's not a need to conserve these weapons, and TAW, for that matter, recognizes that Sineg's going to be coming in with 6 more AMRAAMs and 2 AIM-9s on that F-15 missile bus at 45,000 feet, over 500 knots, and he's still climbing. So my guess is that they're trying to get Sineg to enter the fight late, take people out that may be trying to run away, and then go from there. But I really wish, instead of having him come in late, that they would have him come in at the very beginning, because you want to utilize that speed, in my opinion, to chase down and cause chaos in people that have just turned around from the initial pass.
Well, I think for whatever reason they feel they need to get this like massive Mach 2, close to Mach 2 speed. I feel like you're saying, you can achieve a speed fast enough to do a lot.
Hold on,
of damage.
Airwolf may be in trouble. AMRAAM coming from Savior from high altitude, and this thing is closing, and Airwolf doesn't get hit.
Whoa.
That thing flew right over the top of his aircraft, barely missing him.
Man, I have to say, Airwolf is in a precarious position because Savior and Frosty definitely look like they're providing mutual support to one another, and Airwolf is literally hanging out there by himself on a string. So, his life expectancy, I'm not so positive about it, I have to be honest.
And look at this Falcon now. Where is Falcon going? Oh, he's running from a missile.
He's running from an AMRAAM.
Driven.
He hasn't recognized that AMRAAM's out of energy, and he's just going to continue to run. For how far, I'm not sure. I'm worried that he's just going to get totally taken out of the fight. The missile finally does go into the ground. Maho now putting a 120 out on Savior. Frosty responds with one of his own. Maho puts one out on Frosty and is now defending. We can see Maho defending right now, diving away towards the ground. Let me see if I can give you guys a split screen so you guys can see the missiles ingressing. Now we've got Airwolf, who we are going to grab on the right. So we'll ingress with him. So here's Airwolf in his J11. Map on the left. Airwolf is recommitted. Maho is dragging a couple missiles. Is he going to recommit with Airwolf? Doesn't look like it. But Witcher is now coming in to support Airwolf, but he is 10 miles behind him. So if Airwolf gets jumped, which it's very possible he will from Savior at 11,000 feet, Airwolf's going to be in trouble. Now they're ingressing against one another. Savior flying right by Airwolf, firing onto Maho. Maho now.
Airwolf's in a lot of trouble here. That Fox from Frosty, that looks dangerous.
Maho is able to get away from those missiles, and now we've got a 120 that comes in against Airwolf, and that takes him down, and now Maho is the one in trouble. So now Maho is running away. He was able to defeat all of those missiles that were coming in against him, and now it is a 4v5, and look how deep Red Core 6 is down here. Look at this.
Yeah.
But I think the more pressing issue is Striker coming in against Maho. So Red Core 6 is launched against Falcon. We're going to ride with him. I'm going to put him on the right, split screen, or sorry, now he's on the left. So now I'm going to come over here, and we are going to see Maho defend. 120's coming in on his 6. And it came over the hill, and Maho gets taken down. That one just barely made it over the hill, and then Falcon gets hit immediately following. So now there's 2 left for 36th. Drigo now launching on Newbie 2. Red Core 6 was coming in against Witcher, but Stryker was coming in, and I think recognized that he had the better shooting position. Drigo now trying to defend against the 120. He doesn't do very well against that. And before there were 5, and now there is 1. Witcher all by himself in the Mirage. Totally surrounded by TAW combatants. 120 coming in on the 6 of Witcher, and Witcher gets taken down. And as soon as it started, ladies and gentlemen, it has ended. I don't know how I caught every one of those kills.
You did a real good job today, man. The camera, the Moltar camera naysayer.
I'm getting better.
Exactly.
I'm getting better.
That was good stuff there, dude.
Yeah.
That is a lot to follow in a very short amount of time. Sinag once again shows up as the fight ends, and his service is not needed from space, basically.
Sineg just rocking, coming in here and saying, "What's going on, bros? What I miss?
He's
I'm here to
re-entering
party."
the atmosphere right now.
He comes in with the keg while the party's getting broken up by the cops.
Pretty much. From space, might I add. Like, basically fast enough to time travel.
Well, that was a confident showing from TAW there, no doubt about that.
I think confident is a little bit of an understatement. That was
right, yeah.
The first Airwolf died at 33 minutes, and then Witcher was the last one to die 2 minutes later. In a span of 30 seconds, 3 people from 36 died.
As we like to say, fast and furious.
That had to be disheartening.
Today.
I mean, it's hard to have one guy die in those situations, but to have 3 guys die in the span of 30 seconds, just pow 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 pow. Just, well, that was 4, but 3. You get my point.
Yeah, no, I got you.
That's got to be tough when you've got 2 guys remaining. Well, at this point, it was just Witcher in the Mirage. I mean, the Mirage only has 4 missiles, and you've got to recognize that TAW still has 6 aircraft, and the Mirage has a very limited supply of gun ammo too. So that would be a tough call for the Mirage to be able to do.
Well, I
Red
don't know
Core
what I'm
6
do with all this free time now. So.
Red Core 6, turn off your lights, brother.
Yeah. Someone showed me what it looks like in VR when you leave your lights on.
It's a beacon.
It's ridiculous. Like, it's so stupid. Like, I wish ED would fix that, because it is nightmarishly bad. And the Hornet too. It's not even like it's your nav lights or your form lights.
Right.
It's that stupid. It's the beacon, man, and it's one that's tucked right to the left side of the throttle that most people don't ever realize they need to turn off. I'm guilty of that myself far more than I probably wanted
So,
to.
Keefe asked, why so many 18s? It's not the AMRAAMs, because all of the NATO aircraft are limited to 6, right? So they can only carry 6. The 18's advantage are its innate ability to bleed tremendous amounts of speed via alpha. It has the paddle switch, which people shouldn't use, but it's in DCS, so people gonna use it, and it's effective. It's off-angle radar trackability. It has a 160-degree, I think, azimuth on the radar, so it can track things virtually out of a notch, which is awesome. Its ACM modes are incredible, especially the HEMIC sight, the bore sight, which is amazing. 140, thank you, Beaver. It just has so many tools in its toolbox. The only thing that it can't do that the Viper or the Eagle can do is the speed.
Right.
But everything else,
the
Hornet's got
fast, but you're not touching the 16 or the
you
15
can.
in that department.
No.
But yeah, you can get it moving.
You're
Takes
not
a
going to
lot
get
more
to
effort,
Mach
but-
1.8 unless you are falling uncontrollably from,
And even at that,
even at that height, probably not.
You start fluttering in that thing. It's like you feel
That PPLI there in that last round, you could see from the way these
Oh,
guys
you
were
know.
flying, the way the
You
way
know.
the Red Core 6 came around and closed the net from behind on these guys. I mean, they were in a world of hurt. Even if, they're facing off against a line of Hornets from TAW, and then Red Core 6 comes around the back, cleans up Falcon, and then just turns in on the others. I mean, it was going to be bad all day long.
Yeah. Keefe asks, is there AWACS for that? There was no AWACS in this round. So if you do not have your radar painting somebody, they ain't going to show up. There's no AI callouts from AWACS. There's nothing. So the only things that these guys can see are shared contacts via PPLI over the Link 16 network, but they have to be painted by a friendly emitter. If an aircraft is not being painted, it will not show up, right? And then going for 36, they had two F-16s, so they share PPLI contacts. But the F-15, the J-11, and the Mirage do not have data link, and they're not going to be able to participate in that in the slightest. So that was just, I don't know who picked that map, but that was heavily in favor of any type of Link 16 participant.
That's something we don't talk about nearly enough, is the process to get to these match choices and how much the strategy goes into that from these teams.
Yeah.
There really is, and I think it's a credit to the way you guys have kind of set this whole thing up, where there's a lot of different ways you can kind of do your research on a team and choose the match that's really going to put them at a disadvantage or put yourself at an advantage.
Right.
Both teams have the same, I think, ability to kind of have the knowledge to know what they want and try to get it out of that process. And I think we've seen some teams maneuver that way better than others, and then really build their game plans off of that process. And it's been cool to watch this season. I think it's one of my favorite
so
parts.
for anybody that doesn't know, there's a mission banning process. Savior's coming in wild and interesting landing maneuvers coming in from Savior. But for anybody that doesn't know, the mission banning process is there's 24 maps that these guys can choose from, the teams can choose from. Before every map, the team captains sit down and they ban back and forth. Away team bans first, home team bans second. Even before that, the home team gets to choose the weapon restriction. There's two weapon restrictions, A and B. A allows the 120 and all variants of the Mark 47, of the Phoenix. The A weapon restriction allows the 120C. I already talked about that. The B weapon restriction is the 120B and only the Mark 47. So after that's established, they go through the mission banning process. They ban one mission at a time, going back and forth until there is one mission remaining, and that is the mission that they're going to fly. In Diamond League, half the maps have AWACS, half of them don't. Sorry, Bear, there's 23. You're correct. Half of them have AWACS, half of them don't. Gold League, they all have AWACS. The reason we did that for Diamond League is just because we wanted to have the variability. We will probably implement that next year into Gold League. There were so many changes that we made this year, and I kind of screwed things up at the beginning with changing things after people had signed up, but I think this layout's worked fairly well in allowing teams to have a say in what they want to do, what type of strategies they want to participate in, and how they want to dictate a fight. So I gotta say it's worked out decently well, and I've been happy with how it's gone. And allowing the teams to have strategies and stuff going into the matches. Long fight, short fight, big bubble, small bubble, AWACS, no AWACS. There's so many things that come into this instead of last year where the teams had to just at the mercy of the dice roll and what they were going to fly.
Right.
Can we talk about Sineg? Was he here on NAB training today?
Well, no. Once again,
I don't know.
I think, like I said, I think there were several factors here. There was, I think, maybe some. They just didn't really take into account how short of a field they were playing on today with that strategy, and I think there was, like I said, some confidence. I think they knew they didn't need their full load of 5 guys to go in there and win that match. And like I said, he was there as an insurance policy, in my opinion. He was there to come in at the end if things got bad and clean up. I mean, it's just the way it appears. They've done that type of stuff before to some degree. I think they like running that strategy. I think today was just an example of one where they maybe didn't need.
I don't know that it was.
Right? I don't know.
They didn't feel like they needed all 6. I think a lot of it was just this could have been a fly by the seat of their pants deployment of strategy, and maybe they just didn't get the timings right because maybe they were expecting a longer mission, and then this was the mission that was selected, and it just didn't work into what their overall game plan was. But they decided to try and commit to that game plan anyway, but without knowing the mindset of what these guys were going into this fight. I don't know. Quick shout out to Bullet, 14 months with the tier 1 sub. Thank you, brother. It says, hail everybody. And then Monk and Durdo came in with the 100 bits. Thank you very much, guys. But that brings us to the end. I don't think that attack view is worth going through. Everybody just died kind of at the same time. I don't think it's worth going through that. But next match is going to be 60. We're going to stay with Diamond League. Next match is going to be, I think, 64th. I want to say Eclipse Task Force, I think, is going to be the next matchup.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm confirming that right now. The old website takes forever. For anybody that doesn't know, we are rebuilding the website. If you guys want to check out what's there now, you can head to dcswe.com. A lot of the links are still broken or just not working. So just be aware it is a work in progress. It will come eventually. Billy and I are going to talk about things after this. Low Blow, you're more than welcome to join us. But we're going to talk about things and things like that. There's going to be a ladder deployed, which we talked about at the beginning of this. There's going to be a lot of new features coming on the new website. But that is going to be the next match. One of the most exciting things coming, though, speaking of SATAL matchups, is TAW meets 64th on the 24th of this month. Now, that's the scheduled match time. We're going to see that roughly a month after that, but that match is coming. So that's
excellent.
That's coming.
That
And
should
both
be
those
good.
teams are undefeated right now. So that's the Titans of
Interesting.
Diamond League are going to come head-to-head. And, yeah, the next match that we're going to see on Thursday is going to be the 64th Aggressors taking on Eclipse Task Force. So, my home squadron, my boys.
There we go.
I have no idea how this match goes, guys. I haven't flown them. I don't watch them. I don't do anything. So I don't know how it goes. So we're going to throw that out there. When's the TAW ETF one? That is not going to be for about a month. TAW Eclipse Task Force. That's October 10th. They just flew that. So that'll be a while. We're about a month behind. What was that, Lobelo?
Well, I was going to say, you said that the 4v4s had to be more aggressive, but man, that was pretty aggressive today for that 6v6.
Well,
It really was.
the 4v4s historically have been more aggressive, but this year in SATAL, the 6v6s, it's just been the complete polar opposite. 4v4s have been non-aggressive, and in Gold League and Diamond League's just, I want to smack you in the face for insulting my girlfriend, or for, making fun of my dead mother or something. I don't know. It's complete opposite of what we saw last year. But I know 64's game plan for us has been, kind of the same, follows into that. But we're gonna have to see how that goes. I didn't fly the match, so.
The fact that TAW could pull that off in effectively what was a 5v6 is pretty impressive as well. They were basically down a guy.
No, 36 was down a guy. Oh, 36 had 5 pilots.
In the sense that, so say again.
36 had 5 pilots, so it was a 5v5.
Oh, it's a 5v5. There you go.
Yeah.
Effectively, yeah.
All right, guys, that's going to be it. Again, Thursday, 64th Aggressors taking on Eclipse Task Force. There will not be a stream on Saturday, so we will be back for that. Keep an eye on the website. Huge shout-outs to our sponsors for making all of this possible. Without you guys, that we wouldn't be able to do this stuff, and the teams wouldn't have the awesome prizes that they do coming out to compete here. If you guys want any more information on any of our sponsors' content or wares, check out the link in the description below. But that's all I got. You guys have anything in closing before we go break some shit on our website?
I'm pretty good. I'm already stoked for next week, or for Thursday rather, and really ready for some of these matches you were just talking about coming up. That sounds like
We got a little bit
some
of a
good
wait,
action here.
but they're coming.
Yeah, no, nevertheless, it's going to be a good end of the year.
Keep an eye out for that Pilot X versus the World Comp as well. That 1v2 ACM. It's going to be some fun there.
Lobo, nobody cares.
I care.
I care.
I care.
Sometimes. Sometimes. But anyway, guys, have a good one. Stay safe in those virtual. Oh, last thing. The DCS World Events multiplayer server. So we're moving it to Caucasus. It's almost done. So we've already got a Syria mission, but we found out that most of the people, even though they say they want Syria, they don't have Syria. They buy the dang map. So really we're gonna launch that. The server's gonna relaunch. When we launch it, we're gonna do pilot tracking. So we're gonna keep track of how many kills you have, how many deaths you have, air and ground, and I'm gonna do module giveaways based on that. So whoever the top contenders are, every 3 or 4 weeks. I'm gonna try and do this every 3 or 4 weeks. So whoever our top air-to-air guys are, whoever our top air-to-ground guys are, and then I'm also going to do a random one. So
maybe I'll give some shirt giveaways or a gift card for like most time logged or most something. I don't know. We can sit down and come up with some ideas for that.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Mind getting in on the action there.
That'd be good.
For
Major
sure,
Havoc
yeah.
says, I vote Moltar for first ever Pilot X. Dude, I got to keep up my mysterious reputation.
Right.
You guys don't know how I fly.
Man, it'd be cool to do it like that show where you got to guess who the guy is, where you have to try to the chat tries to guess who Pilot X is based
Except
upon
you
the way
don't
they're
tell
flying.
them. You don't tell the guest ahead of time that they're going to be flying a Dora.
Good luck.
Have fun, or actually they're in a VAIO Hawk.
Thought you were good, man.
Well, you don't have to be good in a you don't have to be good in a Hawk. It's invincible. Thing doesn't die.
Basically.
Well, it's
Well, yeah,
not. I don't think it's in DCS anymore, so it doesn't matter. But
No,
that's
we'd have to revert quite a ways back for that
yeah.
one.
So guys, that's all I got. Until next time, Thursday, 1500 Zulu, 64th, taking on Eclipse Task Force. Stay safe in those virtual skies, and we'll see you guys next time. See you later.
See ya.